Hey everyone, Neil here. Coming back, doing another video. I think I'm going to do this one on items tonight, and then one on, let me see here, we're going to need to do the creative tabs, maybe recipes and smeltings, and then a fuel handler. And then I think I'll wrap it up for the evening and keep pushing forward in my development environment for everything that we need. I'm going to try to, duplicate the tutorials that I've already done. So, forgive the background noise. Of course, I have kids, as you all know that. My wife is working with them, bless her heart, doing homework and Valentine's and all kinds of stuff right now. So, bear with me as we work through that. I know that you guys would rather have, background noise rather than no videos, and honestly I think it's kind of endearing, that I have such a kick-ass wife who supports me in doing this. So, with that being said, let's jump into our project files. I had a little bit of downtime, so what I went ahead and did is I went through and created some more ores. Specifically, I went ahead and finished out my ore lineup. And I went ahead and not only declared what these ores are going to be, I also created some ones for the nether. Those are showing up in here. I also went through in my block render file. I went ahead and set those up, so then that way those will be properly rendered. And then I went through and I created block states for all of them. I went through and created block models for all of them. I went through and created the item models for all of them. And of course I added the textures for them. So that's kind of your checklist, right? You'll go through your ng blocks file right here. You're going to declare your variables. You're going to get them registered. You're going to make sure that they're rendered, right? But then you have to kind of go through this other list, and I kind of created a little bit of a checklist here for texturing blocks. Make sure that you have a block state and a block model. Make sure that you have an item model and the texture file that you're going to use. And then, of course, make sure that you update your lang file. And you'll see that I have gone ahead and updated my lang file right here. So when I jump in to Minecraft, I'm not registering any errors in the background. And kind of a tip, one of the things that I've learned when I'm having problems with textures and the JSON files associated with them, they happen in two places, right? So when we come in and we look at this, we'll see max texture size and created the textures atlas right here for the 16 by 16 as well as the 512 by 512. So if you don't see any errors associated right there, you know that your texturing is either A, going fine, or B, you've gone through, you've created all your textures, your models for your item and block, your block states, but you haven't actually rendered it. So even if I, take this out, I'll comment this out actually, like so. That's my youngest, by the way. That's Sophia. She likes to hear her voice. So we'll go through and we'll see that this will load up, right? And it's not giving us any errors. See? No errors on the 16 by 16. We're not going to have any errors on the 512 by 512. I need to close one of those out. Close that one out actually because I opened it before I commented that out. That's one of the errors that I was talking about. See, I'm on the console window. If I just bounce back to my code, the error goes away, and we'll get rid of that little notice there. Talking about those. So, we'll go ahead and wait for this to load up.
Are you going to school tomorrow, Tyler?
No, I'm going to be in Portland. Well, I can be.
We're going to embiggen that. We'll jump in.
So you're going in the morning, but not. Okay.
And when we come in and we look at tab materials, we're going to see that there's no texture for our nether zinc ore, but it didn't give us any errors. And I hung up got hung up quite a bit on that because I'm like, gosh, why isn't there a texture for it? I'm not getting any errors. When I actually come in and look, I didn't go through and render the file. So we'll save that up and we're good. So let's jump into items at this point. So as is our norm, what we're going to do is we'll close these out. We're going to create a new class and we're going to put that under items, and we are going to make our first one ng item, and this is going to be like a lot like we did with our block class, right? This is going to contain all of the parameters that we're going to use to create an item. So that being said, I'm looking at my notes as we're talking, as always, to make sure that I, one, stay on track, and two, make sure that I'm including everything that I need to. We're going to create another class. This is going to be ng items, and just like I said before, right, we have an ng item class, which, like the Minecraft dot, or net dot Minecraft dot, where is it? Net.minecraft.item. The item class contains all of the parameters for creating the item, like, you know,
You're gonna have a good one.
max stack size, so on, so on, so on, so on, right? There will be times where we're not using this generic item class, ng item class, but we're going to actually create an item class just for that item. We do that in cases of tools and armors and stuff like that. And durable items, which I will again be covering. So we have ng item, we have ng items. So in our ng item class, we are going to do extends item, and we're going to import that. Again, we're going to make sure that it's under the Minecraft subfolder. And we're going to do our stuff right here. We're going to say public ng item, and we're going to pull in a string, which we will call the name. I need some room to think here, so we'll pull that out, and we're going to say super. And then we're going to say this dot set unlocalized name will be the string that we pull in from when we register it. And we're going to say this dot set creative tab is going to be creative tabs dot creative tabs dot tab materials, like so. And that pretty much covers it. When we go through and we do the video on creating creative tabs, we're going to come back and we're going to replace this, and we're going to make it our own creative tab. So that'll be cool. So let's take a look at our ng items class. And so we'll come over here. This again is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to create an item. So we're going to do public static item, and we're going to do a copper ingot, right? Because we have all these ores, right? These ores that we've created, or that I went through and created, that you will too. Consider it homework. Go through and do those. Right, so we have all these blocks. We want to make sure that we can get these blocks into an ingot form, so in that way we can use them in recipes. So, and I'm going to do this. It's important to comment code. So, much like we did with the last one, we are going to say, we're going to create our own method, and it's going to be public static void init items. Method right there. And let's actually, I just want to open up our blocks one to make sure that we're kind of having consistency here. So we init blocks, we have init items. That's good. Some room to work. We're going to type game registry.register item. And so let's just get rid of this. So what we're going to do is, as it looks like right now, we need to, of course, pass in the item that we're going to be doing, which is going to be copper ore. And that is going to be a new item, and we're going to reference our NG items class for that. We're going to pass along, right? It's looking for specifically us to pass along a string. That string is then given the variable of name, and then we set the unlocalized name using that variable that we pass along. So we are going to say copper ore, not copper ore, copper ingot. I F that up. Language, kids, you know. And then I have to pass along the name that it was originally asking for. So I'm going to call this, of course, just copper ingot. And it doesn't like it. Why doesn't it like it? So change type of copper ingot to NG items. NG item. Excuse me. For shame. So we've declared the variable, right? We've gone ahead and registered it. We need to come over to our common proxy class, and we are going to do ng items dot init items, so that way we can get them into the game. And again, going back, right? So in our main modding class, we have our functions right here in our initialization events. This in turn takes us over to our pre-init, right? So right here, pre-init takes us into our common proxy. We've initialized the items right here under ng items, and then init items, we register them there. So let's fire this up. Let's make sure that our ingot is showing up in the game.
It broke down, I know that much. It wasn't running. But I don't know if they're fixing it so he can start driving again, or if they're just getting rid of it because he's not driving.
Funny thing, my son, Elijah, and his, our friend's son, our next door neighbor, they're actually over right now. It looks like they're playing Pikmin 3. So, bouncing back here, right, so we've loaded up Minecraft. Here's some of our errors right here that we're seeing. So, we're having trouble loading models for the copper ingot. We're having loading block states for that, models as well. So, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. The biggest thing is we just want to make sure that our item got into the game. So we're going to jump in, we'll go to tab, materials, and there's our copper ingot.
No, you don't. And if you use it, I'm going to put you in timeout.
Looks like a block. That's weird. That's weird. Let's figure that out. Alright, so we'll close that up. Like we did last time, we're going to come into our render. We're going to do a class. We're going to do ng item render, like so, much like we did in our block class. And you know what, just in that way my naming conventions are matched up, I'm going to do some copy paste right here. So we are going to say public static void and block render, but of course we'll change that to item render, like so. And we are going to say ingots, and we're going to have reg item, and that is going to be ng items dot copper ingot, like so. We're going to come over here to our block render, and we're going to actually just copy this and paste it right below here. But of course we'll change it to item, and we are going to change this. We're going to be pulling down an item and then an item. So really what happens is when we run this, we're saying, hey, this is our item right here. So when it gets down to here and it tries to pass this in, this is our variable, right? And our variable is going to say ng items.copper ingot. Well, I copied over the block class, And the reason why is because for the block class, it wants to see it as an item when we render it. However, we don't need to see it as an item because it's already an item. So we will actually just take this out, pop in item. We'll come over here. We'll pop in item there. We will give that a save. Hopefully we get no errors. There we go. Now, we have just done everything that we need to do to render the item as far as the code goes. However, we still need to do our JSON files for the item itself. Now, we're not going to need any block states for this because it's not going to be a block. Really, all we need at this particular point is the texture file itself, right? And I have a couple of those. Again, we can come into our vanilla textures. We can go to items. We will look for, not the iron ingot, because that's all grayscale. We're going to go for the gold ingot, right here. Sweet. So, we can right click on that. We'll open it up with paint.net. We'll do a shift scrolly to make that bigger, and then from here we can just adjust the hue and saturation of this to get the color that we want, just like we did with the ores. Pretty cool. I'm going to just close that out, however, because I already have some textures that I want to use. Let me find them here on my other screen. So, copper ingot. I am just going to go ahead and paste that right into here. So now I have my copper ingot in there, and now we need to look at the model for it. So we'll come back over to here. We're going to go into our assets folder, Minecraft, models, item. We're going to look for gold ingot. We're going to look at the JSON file for this. So here's the JSON file for an ingot. I'm not going to go into a lot of the details like this because we're really just recreating something that already exists in the game. It's just having a different name and different property. Well, not even different properties, right? Because it's an ingot, right? So we're going to copy that. We're going to come over here and we will do our item model for this. So we're going to say new file. This is going to go in our resources, assets, ng, models, item, and this will just be copper ingot, like so. We're going to finish that, and we are going to paste that in. And we're going to add in our mod ID. We're going to change the item name. We're going to name that copper ingot, and we're going to hit save. Now that should be everything to get us running. However, it's going to generate an error, and I'll show you why it's going to generate an error. Right. Even though we have that that item model in there, it's going to give us an error saying that we don't have an item model for it. You'll see these right here. We have item models. I don't know why it's asking for a block state. That's weird. Let's go in and see if it shows up. Which I can tell you right now, it won't. And the reason that I'm illustrating this is because this is a common mistake that I make. It doesn't show up. And I come over here and I look at it and I'm like, copper ingot, it's there. However, it's not there because what happened was I didn't actually type out the extension on it. So we'll put that extension in. Let's fire it up again with that. Click in the code window. There we go. We're looking good as far as errors. Not seeing any. Good deal. Get big in that. Single player. New world. Tab materials. Nothing there. What did I do or not do to make that work? But let's come back and pour over our code. We don't need that. Let's look at NG items. Copper ingot. We pass along the unlocalized name. That is in there. That's weird.
When I say no, Mom, start our plane. Now.
Curious. Oh, I know what I did. You guys are probably being like, dude, go back and look. We need to go to our client proxy, and we actually need to make sure that that renderer is firing. So, NG item clock renderer, IREM render. Let's actually just change that to item render. Now, we're going to come back to our NG item render. We're going to name this item render. We save it. Our error goes away. Fire it up. See what happens. Oh, let's check for errors while we're at it. See, that's another interesting thing is it didn't give me any errors saying that it was missing because I didn't actually try to go in and render them. Alright. Now, hopefully, maybe, let's see. Materials, scroll down. There is our ingot. So we're good. All we need to do, one last thing, we're going to put in our name for our copper ore. Now, because I use a lot of Sublime text, it automatically pulls up over here. So, we can do item dot copper ingot dot name equals copper ingot. So we'll save that up. Let's roll with it. Make sure that it's in there, and I think we're just about wrapped up. And then I can, I'm going to import some more items since I've walked everybody through this. Kind of the base ores and items from my mod. And then we can get onto our crafting tutorial. Not crafting, creative tab tutorial. So let's take a peek, make sure that name showed up. Has shown up. Copper ingot. We're golden. Alright. So that pretty much covers it for this episode. As always, like, comment, subscribe below. I'm going to try the trickiness of trying to render this video. Oh no, I can't render the video while I'm recording because I use the same software. So anyways, you have to wait for it. I'm going to render this video up. We'll get it uploaded, then I'll jump into creative tabs. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, questions below if you have any. I'm here to help. The community is as well. And happy modding.